You must have an interesting perspective on Faker and his role within T1, because when you actually got to Korea, in theory, that was supposed to be the end of Faker Atlus. That's when he wasn't the best player anymore. Even T1 wasn't like a super team for some of these years. And then, like, I one of the ways I like that people have described it, I think Rich's Wrath said this on Twitter, is like, if you look, Faker sort of had two careers. He had the career where he is just a hard carry, essentially where he was trying to be a Chovy, a showmaker. And then this last like sort of 5 years, he's sort of the mastermind, isn't he? He's the captain, and it's clearly not just about raw, like, mid lane laning and how many CS you have. So what is the Faker and T1 you've seen in your time in Korea being like?
Well, it's interesting because I think in 2017, to go back to the whole, like, you've got to win to seem good, like, SKT, T1 in 2017 were an absurdly good team. Like, they were just ridiculously strong. And so watching Faker then, I was like, yep, this is what I was expecting moving in. But then we had, you know, after the most famous esports photo of all time, we had 2018, which was not a great year, let's be honest, for Faker and for T1. We did have a Rift Rivals where Rookie versus Faker happened, and that was really fun. But outside of that, it was just pretty forgettable. And that was when we had to start trying to adjust the narrative to steer away from the fact that this guy is the best there ever is and will always be the best, to he's the GOAT, but he's not the best right now. And
it's just tricky, right? That's not as easy as people think. Yeah. I mean, I will say, I won't name names, but I do feel like sometimes broadcasts can lean into the idea of, like, the past a bit too much in that sense.
Oh, no. It was a really difficult thing to do, especially when I didn't have as much experience on the LCK broadcast. That was the hardest thing for me, was having to be this guy that was now commentating Faker. And I felt like, you know, my voice wasn't allowed, you know, near this ridiculous legacy. So like that was a difficult part for me, especially when he stopped performing quite as well. But once we learned how to change the language around Faker, it became easier and easier. And of course, when he started performing better as well, like 2019, that roster was completely ridiculous domestically. Unfortunately, didn't quite manage to make to pull things together towards the end of the year, but like domestically, they were absolutely incredible. Fiddling with rosters aside, you know, as times went on from there, things were also getting better and better. And now we've got this current iteration of T1, which I always thought that League of Legends, you weren't allowed to have your coach in comms. But it turns out if you're T1 and you're this famous, they just let you have your coach in the mid lane the entire game. It's just ridiculous.
It does feel like he's on some, like, Splinter and the Ninja Turtles shit or something, doesn't it? It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's a good meme. That is a good meme.
When they grew up, you know, that's them winning worlds is the second part of the meme, obviously. Exactly.
Yep. Have you seen the other one? So there's the one where it's like you've got little Splinter and there's the huge turtles, but then there's the other one where it's the huge turtles and then the gigantic Giga Chads.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well. That one was pretty good also after, especially after the run that Faker made during the knockout stage. Like, he was a man possessed. We hadn't seen that level of Faker for quite a few years. And I don't think they even necessarily needed Faker to be that good with how well the rest of the players were playing. When we're talking about, like, Faker was, you know, having the best performance that he's had for the last 3 years, I think, but was still probably only third best on his team performance-wise.
Oh, that's fair.
During the knockouts is what I'd say. I think that Owner and Zeus were just, like, on another level.
Yes.
At that particular point in time. But I think that, like, Faker still just played out of his mind. Guma was very, very consistent as well. Very, very proud of that team, because otherwise it would have been very sad as an LCK fan.
To see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content, well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.